Okay, so the other day I made this video about the death of the Big Lebowski. It was actor David Huddleston. And I talked about in the movie The Big Lebowski, they always go to the grocery store that's called Ralph's. And the movie was actually set in 1991. And I also talked about the movie King Ralph that came out in 1991 that John Goodman is also in. He's also in The Big Lebowski. And I just kept thinking about, interesting, there's a pattern with this Ralph. And I was sitting here the other day and I remember the movie A Christmas Story that has Ralphie in it. And it just so happens that David Huddleston, the actor who died, he was also famous for being in the movie called Santa Claus the Movie that came out in 1985. And everybody, I'm sure, has seen A Christmas Story. And you have Ralphie, and he wants the Red Ryder BB gun. And it's not a complete, connection, but it is in regards to Christmas and Santa Claus. And then this guy was famous for being Santa Claus. And also, he even wears the bunny outfit here. And in the movie The Big Lebowski, the whole point is that David Huddleston's wife was supposedly kidnapped, and her name was Bunny. So just interesting. If you write out in Gematria A Christmas Story, it equals 64 and also 208. If you write out Santa Claus the Movie, it also equals 64 and 208. If you write out 208, it equals 82. David Huddleston even died on August 2nd, which is 8-2. So just interesting, they even have the same Gematria. So just a few other things I want to talk about in this movie. And then I'm going to move on and talk a little bit about the comedian Ralphie May and his connection to Sam Kinison and some other stuff. Ralphie May just seems like he has some numbers set up to be a sacrifice for some type of event this year, whether it's the World Series or, the Super Bowl or just anything in general. Seems like he has the numbers where he could possibly die this year, and I'll show you why. But in this movie, A Christmas Story, a lot of people I don't think ever noticed this part, but maybe, when he gets the lady leg lamp, it doesn't say this end up. Even when they bring it in, it doesn't even have a T over here. It just says his end up, right? And it pretty much got his end up, right? The dad. And then he says fragile, even though it's fragile and whatnot. But if you write out in Gematria his end up, it equals 42 and 96. The word Freemason equals 42, 96. The word lamp even equals 42. Ralphie equals 42 and 69. The reflection of 96. Fragile equals 58. The word Freemasonry equals 58. So just pretty interesting in regards to that movie. And I mean, just no doubt in my mind that movie was created by the Freemasons. There's probably a whole lot more to this movie. I haven't seen it in a long time. I actually try not to watch it because I've seen it so many times. But now seeing this, I kind of want to go back and rewatch both of these movies. I'm not even sure if I've seen that Santa Claus movie before. It seems like I have, but I don't remember that much about it. But, like I said, need to go back and watch them. I bet you there's a whole bunch more in these movies. In Gematria, Christmas also equals 56, 38, 47, 56, and 110. And this is with the S exception. So 56, if you write out 56, it equals 55. December equals 55. Santa equals 55. Saint Nick equals 55. Satan equals 55. I also found it interesting that David Huddleston, the actor, he died 145 days before Christmas. 145 is a number I've talked a lot about. I even talked about it in my Big Lebowski video. So I recommend watching that before you get too far into this video. I'll even leave a link in the description, but I talked a lot about it in regards to the Chicago Cubs and just Chicago in general. Chicago, Illinois equals 145. And I know in the movie A Christmas Story, there's a part in the very beginning where the dad talks about the Sox. And I can't remember if it's the Red Sox or the White Sox. I didn't go back and look. But the reason I remember that is just for the simple fact of the whole point of the movie. The dad's reading the paper, and the mom's laughing at him about how basically the news is just a joke. And the dad's like, what? The news is real, And then all at the same time, Ralphie is trying to subliminally tell his parents that he wants a Red Ryder BB gun. So, I mean, it's just, they're telling you how ridiculous the news is and how they subliminally program people. All at the same time, Ralphie's trying to do the same thing to his parents because he wants a Red Ryder BB gun for Christmas. So basically, wanted to point out the Ralphie connection, also once again to David Huddleston. But we got this comedian, Ralphie May. He's one of the only other Ralphies or Ralph that I could think of, other than like Ralph Lauren and maybe Ralph Nader. And, you know, he just has numbers that are connected to sporting events, and a lot of times they love to sacrifice people, you know, for a team to win and whatnot. Definitely could be him. Maybe not, you know, maybe there's nothing to the Ralphie thing. Like I said, I've noticed some patterns. I feel like it's significant. So first off, he's 44 years old right now. 44 is a number you see a lot of times in regards to sacrifices and whatnot. The word kill equals 44. Interesting too, he's also born on February 17th. If you saw my last video about Bow Wow retiring, and I talked about Michael Jordan and all these connections to 217, and in regards to the NBA next year, it's even Michael Jordan's 54th birthday next year on February 17th. The NBA All-Star Week begins on 217, and they even told us it was going to move out of Charlotte, where Michael Jordan owns or whatever, and they told us this on July 21st, which in other parts of the world they write the date as 21/7. Once again, a lot like 217. So he's got some interesting connections to the NBA. And if you do his name in gematria, Ralphie May, it equals 54 and 108. And I've been talking a lot about both of these numbers in regards to the Chicago Cubs and the curse of the Billy Goat. You know, the Willis Tower in Chicago is 108 stories tall. The Cubs haven't won the World Series in 108 years. The Great Chicago Fire began on 10/8 of 1871, which was 145 years ago. Remember, Chicago, Illinois equals 145. Tons of other stuff that, you know, the Yankees just traded Chapman to the Cubs. He's wearing number 54. I'll post a link to a video in regards to the Cubs and all these 54 connections and 45. Tons and tons of information. It will take too long to re-explain. But just know Ralphie May connected to the Cubs as well. Curse of the Billy Goat equals 88. Even if you write out 217, it equals 88. Ralphie May, though, definitely connected to Freemasonry. So it says that at age 16, he broke 42 bones in his body in an automobile accident. And then when he was 17, he won a contest to open up for the comedian Sam Kinison, whom he considered his idol. And then Kinison suggested that he move to Houston, Texas to, you know, further develop his comedy routine. So he moved to Texas, and I guess now he's in like Los Angeles or whatever. But it's very, very interesting because Super Bowl 51 is in Houston this year. Houston in gematria equals 112. This year will be the 112th World Series. So Ralphie May even has connections to the Super Bowl. And Freemason equals 42. He broke 42 bones in his body when he was 16. Ralphie equals 42. He opened up for Sam Kinison age 17. Just wanted to point out NBA equals 17. The word Mason equals 17. And also the word kill, the small way, equals 17. So I went and looked up Sam Kinison just because Ralphie May was so young and he moved to Texas, which seems kind of weird that he would move there when he's 17. I mean, I don't know the whole background to it. I don't know if his parents moved or whatever. It just seems kind of weird that a 17-year-old would move to Houston and whatnot. Maybe he was adopted or I don't know. I just couldn't find the information. But anyway, Sam Kinison, then, his idol, he died at a young age as well. He died at the age of 38. The word death equals 38. I've talked a whole lot about this Prince and royalty connection. Prince equals 38. There's been a ton of 38 connected to this year. It's even an election year. Election equals 38. Anyway, though, if you write out Samuel Kinison, it equals 54 and 162. So he even shares gematria with Ralphie May of 54. Also, then, the big way Samuel Kinison equals 162. Think about it in regards to Major League Baseball that has 162 regular season games. If you write out Major League Baseball, it even equals 162. Last year, Salvador Perez was the World Series MVP. Salvador Perez equals 162. Sam Kinison, then, he ends up dying 124 days after his 38th birthday. If you write out Sam Kinison, it equals 124. Go figure. I see this happen. I've documented it so many times, it's unbelievable that people still think I'm crazy. But Sam Kinison equals 124. He dies 124 days after his 38th birthday. If you write out 124, it even equals 104, which if you wrote this as a date, you could even write it as 10/4, which could be April 10th. Also, just interesting, it's 4 months, 2 days. Remember, Freemason equals 42. His 38th birthday was also 42 days after Minnesota won the World Series in 1991. And in 1991, like I said, King Ralph, the movie, was set in 1990, or came out in 1991, and The Big Lebowski was set in 1991. Kinison, just Kinison, equals 91. Chicago Cubs equals 91. And in the movie King Ralph, he's even wearing the Chicago Cubs hat at the beginning and at the end of the movie. Ralphie May, also born on a date numerology, though, of 91, 2 plus 17 plus 72 equals 91. And it's interesting because last year I talked a whole lot about how the number 91 seems to be a number connected to death and elimination. So, something to point out. If you include the end date, though, of Sam Kinison's birthday compared to the 91 World Series, it would be a span of 43 days, also 1 month, 12 days. Just interesting in regards to Houston, that equals 112. This year we have the 112th World Series, but Sam Kinison, the small white, equals 43 as well. So it syncs up both ways. He also died 2 months, 15 days after the 1992 Super Bowl. And if you write out his full name, Samuel Burl Kinison, it equals 215. 215 as a date is even the last day of Lupercalia, you know, a festival where they sacrifice and celebrate a wolf, and there's always a lot of death connected to it. It's even the 46th day of the year. The word sacrifice equals 46. Also, I found it interesting, if you go from Sam Kinison's 38th birthday to the day that the NBA All-Star Game happened in 1992, it's a span of 2 months, 2 days. Remember, the word basketball equals 22. And if you go from the NBA All-Star Game to the day that he died, also a span of 2 months, 22 days. It was also, the 42nd NBA All-Star Game, once again connecting to Freemasonry. If you write out the word 22, it equals 165, just like if you write out Scottish Rite. Also interesting, it was 62 days. He died 62 days after the NBA All-Star Game. If you write out the word Mason, it equals 62. He also dies 54 days, or also 1 month, 24 days before the NBA Finals began in 1992. Remember, Sam Kinison equals 124. Samuel Kinison equals 54. So his death definitely connected to the NBA Finals in 1992. I wonder, too, if it has something to do with Clyde Drexler and how he went to the Houston Rockets. Because in 92, the Bulls defeated the Blazers, and they had Clyde Drexler or whatever. And then he later went on to the Houston Rockets, who won the NBA Finals in 94 and 95. But, who knows? Just a thought. Also, if you read through the story of his death, you can just pause the video here. I found it pretty interesting. It says that, he got hit by a 17-year-old and he was drunk or whatever. But then they pulled him out and he wasn't dead, and he kept saying, "I don't want to die, I don't want to die." And they said he was he was having a conversation with somebody that wasn't there and whatnot. I just found the whole thing interesting. So, whatever, just pointing it out. Found the story very interesting. Whether it's a real story or just put in there for some type of agenda. I'm totally not a non-believer of this, though. I just wonder who he would have been talking to, you know? Especially being so connected to Freemasonry and whatnot. Anyway, it also says that he got married 6 days prior to this lady, Malika Suri, which means he also got married on 4/4, a number connected to death. If you write out her name, Malika Suri, or whatever, it's 57 and 138. If you write out Malika Kinison, it also equals 57 and 138. Sam Kinison also dies 1 month, 24 days after Ralphie May's 20th birthday. Sam Kinison was even born in the year 53. So they have this super connection, you know. Ralphie May has this connection to Sam Kinison for whatever the reason. And, you know, in regards to being sacrificed, it sure seems like Sam Kinison was sacrificed for at least the NBA, but he was connected to a lot of the other sports right around his death time and his birthday. And then we got Ralphie May, who's connected to Houston, and Houston is connected, you know, to the World Series and the Super Bowl this year. It also wouldn't be that unbelievable for a really fat guy to die, right? People just eat it up. Oh, he had a heart attack because he is overweight, which, you know, possibly could happen. I'm not saying that can't happen, but that's what the story will be, even if it's not real. Anyway, you know, I've also seen a whole lot of stuff where people talk about how Alex Jones is really either Sam Kinison or Bill Hicks. You know, Sam Kinison and Bill Hicks were even friends and whatnot. Alex Jones, though, look at him. Supposedly born on the 42nd day of the year. In 1974, the word Masonic equals 74. He's supposedly age 42 right now, so born on the 42nd day of the year. He is 42. I mean, come on. If you read out William Hicks, this guy right here, the other comedian that I'm talking about, William Hicks equals 57. If you write out Alexander Jones, it equals 57. Pretty interesting. Bill Hicks even dies on the 57th day of the year, so they both equal 57. He dies on the 57th day of the year. Bill Hicks even dies 2 months, 11 days after his 32nd birthday. If you write out Alex Emmerich Jones, it equals 211. Remember, he was born on 2/11, the 42nd day. The word Mason in Jewish gematria equals 211. The word Hicks equals 50, which interesting, he died at the age of 32. If you write out 32, it equals 50. His name in gematria equals 57. He died at the age of 57. If you write out 57, it also equals 50. Just wanted to point that out. I'm sure there's other things I could research into it. I've just honestly never really cared that much if he really is Alex Jones, or if Sam Kinison really is Alex Jones. Maybe I should. It just doesn't seem like something that I should be that worried about. There's way bigger things to be worrying about. It is interesting in regards to both of their names equaling 57 and whatnot, and they have a few other connections. I looked at this very fast, you know, but that could be all part of the grand mocking, you know. Most likely the Freemasons probably could have made this story up about Bill Hicks or Sam Kinison being Alex Jones, and then everybody just eats it up, and they waste all their time on something that doesn't make that much sense. I mean, I sort of see the resemblance and whatnot, but what I'm getting at, it's something that's very, very, very difficult to prove, so people just waste their time on something that's just, it's just too difficult to prove. I've been told that I look like Mikey from American Chopper before, back in the day when I had a big old beard and stuff. So, it doesn't mean I'm Mikey from American Chopper, you know what I mean? It's just, I just feel like it's just a waste of time to really worry about something like that. I get the point of what it would do if you could actually really prove it, just like the flat earth. But at this point in time, I don't think that it is something to worry about. I mean, people aren't even awake to the fact that the news is a lie, let alone proving that the earth is flat or something. It's something that just is irrelevant to me right now. And I feel like stuff like him being Alex Jones and also, the flat earth, it just makes people like us look even more crazy. But, it's just my opinion. But I don't even know why I even put it in here. Just wanted to point it out because he was supposedly friends with Sam Kinison, even had the connections to Houston. Alex Jones from Dallas, Texas. Not quite Houston, but just Texas in general. But moral of the story, I just feel like Ralphie May is somebody to watch out for. He has a very possibility of being sacrificed in regards to sports this year, whether it's before or after, or, it might not even happen at all. I'm not saying that it will happen. I just found some interesting connections. I've been following this Ralph and Ralphie theme that I think that have been running. So I wanted to put the information out there just in case he is, and he does turn up dead this year or, sometime in the near future. So, whatever. Have a good night.